January 2020, I ran 3 weeks nonstop of events in the United States, all up and down the coast of California, up and around to Oregon, Nevada. I was getting around, right? Ended that month in London, England. I ran the entire month of February and into March in London. We did Germany, France, all over the place, right? It was huge. As soon as I got back, I had WrestleMania weekend in Florida booked 2020. I had a huge opportunity up in San Francisco with All Pro Wrestling, which has gotten a lot of traction, a lot of steam in the last few years. And I just had a huge schedule packed for the spring of 2020, and things couldn't look better. I was in good shape, and everything was like rocking, right? Rocking and rolling. March 10th, I get back to the United States, and March 14th, the world is done. Shut down, completely closed. I was supposed to do All Pro Wrestling up in San Francisco. That was the weekend that San Francisco had that huge cruise ship outbreak, and they shut they were one of the first cities in the entire United States to completely lock down. So that was done. My heavyweight championship match that same weekend up in Portland, Oregon was canceled, and like it was like everything came crashing down, right? But I'm not pouting. I'm not. That's life, right? And it sucked, but it sucked for everyone. So I'm not here to like discredit or like measure my struggle with anyone else. Like I know it sucked. It sucked so bad. It sucked so bad for everyone, and like the loss and the death and like that shit is so sad, bro. It is so sad. Um, you know what I mean? But like, so like to compare anything that I like lost in my gigs or like work, like you know what I mean? Like there's people that lost like way more than that, and it's so scary and sad. But on my end, I was healthy and I stayed locked down, and I was put in a decent enough position um, as far as with the roof over my head and all that kind of stuff. It was a struggle financially. You know what I mean? Like those first handful, the first year, right up until the end of the year, basically, was a really big struggle for me and for everyone. That kind of knew, and everyone's kind of pinching pennies, and we're looking for the next deal. And for live entertainers, who's a lot of my friends and who are a lot of people that are in my circle, right, like no fans, no gigs, you can't be indoors, you can't do this. It was really hard. It was really, really hard. And there came an opportunity, and it might not be a surprise to anybody that has followed me since COVID or throughout the past 6 months or the past year about. Um, I got involved with the drive-in wrestling gigs through Fist Combat, and there was, it was an opportunity there, and it was fun to do some stuff in a different environment. We did some stuff where fans were spread out in their own cars, and then we transmitted the commentary out to the radio receivers. It was actually a pretty cool deal, and through that, I got more involved in the management and production of that particular show. And okay, well, we started doing more of those drive-in style events, and as restrictions started to kind of lighten up, and it may have been ill-timed or ill-fated or may not have been the right approach, but started doing some training, leaving the garage door open kind of deal, keeping some ventilation, but and it was good, and it turned out well, and I got back on my horse a bit and was able to have some matches a little more frequently, once or twice a month, and it was going good, and I was back to a place where I was able to train and coach, which was something that I love to do and was not taken from me, but something I was unable to do since the start of the pandemic. And given that opportunity, and given the risk that I was willing to take at the time, it worked, and it felt like something that I was justifiable, and something that I was willing to do. And the more I got involved in that, the more frequently we started to do events, because now we've got this team and things were going. And leading to the end of the year, things were starting to pick up, and into the new year, I was fully invested into Fist, and Ran that up until July, and there was, maybe there's a future episode where we talk, in more detail about that. But there was a falling out, and so between then and then, I literally wrote and produced and created and managed a wrestling company for the past year about. And not to take any credit away from any of my teammates or any of the people that helped on that team, but there was a fair amount of work that I was doing, and it was fun at the time when it was fun. And there was a lot that I learned in doing that. So there was a lot of business that I picked up, and there was a lot of things that I liked and a lot of things that I didn't like. But again, there was just a lot to be learned. And so a lot of my work in the past year has not only been behind the scenes, but has been with the weekly Saturday wrestling that we were producing at a venue that we'd invested in together. And there was a lot that was going on, but my world has been pretty busy, and between that and between catching COVID in December, which is a different episode in its entirety, a lot has gone on.